Drinking with Uncle Jim. Yeah. Come on down now. It's all about love here, baby. I ain't had nothing. I wish I had somebody with me right about now. Or a couple. I don't pull no damn punches. Oh, I'm a true son of the Confederacy. Don't get it twisted. Actually, I am. I don't show cards. We all are, actually, but I am. Solidified. How's it going? How's it going? I was waiting for a few more people coming in, but you know how it is. Some people love listening to garbage. I see people that used to be over here. They just love, they stuck in with their heads in the garbage. People are still stuck in colorism, man. I get it. But the reality is I have spoken so highly of my people to be able to come up out of her. And I don't mean her like a female. I mean the misguided word that doesn't represent the man of who he is. The women are more sound. I see people like to the debating and this, that, and but they're not accomplishing anything. They really believe they are. You know how what's that old saying about? Remember when before Crazy Glue came out? It used to always be, you know, if you got some of that wood glue or what was that other glue back in the day before Crazy Glue? It was stronger than plastic cement. Say, don't put your fingers together. No. Now, Crazy Glue solidified that with the little guy with the helmet and the hard hat and the iron crossbeam. Mommies always say, you don't have to play in the turpentine if you don't keep putting your fingers together every time you mess with that stuff. And that's an old saying. Every time you mess with that, don't put your fingers together. It's our habit to go like this when it's something foreign on it. Foreign meaning something that we're not used to having it on there all the time. So, you know, in the turpentine back then, it stank. It was strong. And it was natural. You know how turpentine was made? Y'all keep talking about moonshine. Well, no, y'all, people I talk to, we always talk about moonshine. And when I was asking about original turpentine, they were like, get out of here. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, you used to be able to drink that stuff. People used to drink during Prohibition until they started chemically processing that with petroleum bases and stuff. Check this out. Is that low enough? It's not. Is it drowning me out? I'll turn it down a little more. All right. Well, you know it's made from certain pine trees. Now there's 14, but there's only 7 that we can partake of, whether it be teas, healing, stimulants. The other 7 are very deadly. Well, anyway, it's made from 3 of the pine trees, I think birch and a few other things. And it's boiled down and expelled with the old crushers that some of us had in our houses. Remember the old, you put sugar cane through and the cotton and get those oils. No seeds and all that because that was deadly. We knew that there was, you know, like strychnine, all right, which is a natural thing too. Oh, I'm going back a little bit before I get to reading. So you can still buy organic turpentine, which is medicinal. The problem is really. So they were like this, how you know all that? I was like, because I know I was a kid. I grew up and the turpentine was real strong, and man, it get in your pores, and Sometimes you can taste it in your mouth. You know how you get blood in your mouth, you can taste the iron. You know, and you smell iron, you be like, am I bleeding? But you're not. You're smelling the iron because the iron's raw. Well, it was old saying that if you don't want to, you know, don't keep touching your fingers. It's an old saying. So we always knew that if you touch something that was foreign, you didn't have to always go like that, because sometimes you need to get that in cold water, or you need to put it in dirt or something before you go touch it, because you kind of make a solidification between you and the substance. I'm just saying, if I'm wrong, then let me know I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. I know some people are gonna be like, yeah, there ain't no such thing as organic turpentine made from pine saps, pine tree oils. Yes. Like with Vicks Vapor Rub, it's made from the same stuff. Because it's not made from no fake ass dinosaurs, and that's them trying to keep you from being able to create it and make it the way it used to be made. Turpentine oils is made from the resin of certain pine trees. Resin, people. Turpentine oil is included in some chest rubs, such as Vicks Vapor Rub and a few other things. Liniments. I bet you didn't know that. Oh yeah, if you're with me and something happened, we got some pine trees around. Oh, I know how to extract, just like maple trees. But to get in order to get maple syrup, you have to get about 20 big 5-gallon, and then you gotta boil that down to a few big mason jars of maple syrup. That it takes a lot to cook it down with the right temperature, about 375, 420 degree heat. Well, 400 is best, but in a tin. But most people don't know that. You dig what I'm saying? People don't know these things. You know, I hope y'all like the little video I did there with Tom McDonald. You know, the industry. Well, talking about this Grammy thing. He did that quick. It was like, ooh, child, man, he really locked that down, didn't he? I tell you, son, the children need to see more of that. So I could have just shared the video, but he don't have it on his YouTube channel. That's one of his shorts, because it's only 58 seconds long. I wish some of our people would do that and make something about the industry instead of worrying about comeback. Our people are too busy trying to be ghetto and ghettofied, and like, stop. There are some brothers now making indigenous music that is fabulous. If they could just keep the word nigga, the word black, and a few other dumb words out, then they might be able to really make something. You dig what I'm saying? Now I wanted to read this out of the Wars of the Anunnaki. We're going to get into this. I'm going to start reading this along with it. But repeated accusations. It's not accusations, accusations. That means accurate. After making us, the readers, agree that the adolescents have performed such a horrendous sin, will accept the grave sentence befalling all generations of humans forever, while feeling desperately culpable. Let's see the text. Now, this is nuclear self-destruction in ancient Sumer. This is, we're in the middle of, almost in the middle of the book. I wanted to read this. Yes, I've been reading it. Shut up. The deity Y expelled the Adam from the orchard of Eden. Do you know that we have the Y chromosome, mostly? Anyway, in brackets it says if. And to the woman he said, that means if possible, I will greatly multiply thy suffering by thy pregnancy, and suffering shalt you bear children. In brackets, if. Now, the act of an unjust God, on the one hand, because he knew very well who had done the deed, the serpent Enki, on the other hand, because his reaction is disproportionate, the cursing of woman to the end of time, the act of a cruel God who had wanted the primitive, low consciousness slave workers to remain in a lowly state, who targets the most noble act of giving life to be the medium of his cure, a psychological act that demonstrates that he was not the creator of the Adamic humanity, because if he had been, he would have respected life and life-giving. So the narrative that's pushed off in the Bible, because ye have ate up the fruit, we know what this tree of life is. It's within us. We know that the sin, somebody created that and put it upon us by nurturing us in it. It was never who we are. So what God or creator would subjugate them people instead of correct the fallacy? And in the Bible, they would have you, the very ones who were murdering, chopping off heads, killing millions of people, would have you believe that the God increased the pain of a woman's childbirth. Well, there was a time when a woman, that was the most greatest gift, because they knew the baby was strong and a fighter. And the pain wasn't that unbearable. For we wouldn't be here if that was the case. Now, we have to consider the history of accursation among the Anunnaki to realize that however they did it, putting a curse on somebody or something was not an empty word. So we know that something outside of us did it. And I believe the Anunnaki exists, whether lizard or whatever. Giants, I believe, exist still and have always existed. It's in our written history. Putting a curse on somebody or something was not an empty word. One example, speaking for itself, is that of Agade, the city cursed by the gods and whose story is recounted in the text called The Curse of Agade. When Inanna, endowed with the Mes, the strict Enki into giving her, was granted kingship by the assembly of the gods, she chose Sargon to be the king of her realm. And Sargon, one, as a dragon, right? One, built the city of Agad, or Akkad, to be his capital. The wars he and his successors on the throne fought in the name of their queen and lover, Inanna, created the mighty empire of Akkad, Arcadia, for those that don't know what it means. And Akkadian became the international language of diplomacy. But in the course of time, Inanna became more and more ferocious in her craving for dominance of other lands and realms, earths, when she finally, this is the beginning. Remember, Lilith came down to the waters and stood upon them, and all the aqualife, the mammals, went to the depths and spoke to, and she stood up on her 4 pillars and gave Lilith land, got into an open defiance of the olden gods, and defiled the temple of Anu and Eric, in parentheses, her ancient abode, and then Enlil's temple in Nibiru. Would that be Nibiru? The gods gathered in their assembly and ordered the accusation of Agad. Not only the city, but the whole Akkadian empire were utterly destroyed and could never be reconstructed. Contrary to what happened are so many cities and temples. You know what that is? Babylon. So we will read that. And just to give you this is an actual ancient, before Tartaria. This is only a remnant of who we were before donning our armor, which you never see for some weird reason in the Civil War. Yet we wore armor, people. Still thrusting and crafting bolts of lightning, which was weaker, much less because the buildings were being destroyed. And our way of walking, the elders who were fighting in the war well over 100 years, were simply allowing themselves to fall because the story has to hold. DNA of the Gods, the Anunnaki creation of Eve and the alien battle for humanity, by Chris H. Hardy, PhD. Good. I know it's some good music, right? I gotta take a sip to that. Do y'all mind any of y'all sipping with me? Any of y'all not working today? Any of y'all not slaving today? Well, join me on a little tea time. Oh, that is good, by George, I tell you. I bet you by golly why. All right, let's get into this. The counted periods. Have y'all noticed that a lot more people have been starting to talk about this? We're not talking about Pan-African Americans and black exploitation, whatever that goofy stuff is, or Afrocentrics. The counted periods are the shars. That's SARS, which is time, stars. One Nigerian year that equates to 3,600 Earth years. One Nigerian year that equates to 3,600 Earth years. According to Sitchin, during Alula's kingship, Nibiru's atmosphere, thought to be protected and maintained by particles spurted out by volcanoes, was dangerously dwindling. In parentheses, it states, let's not hear that this is scientifically sound, because the ashes and particles of an eruption, by rising to the upper atmosphere, end up screening UV rays and thus lowering the temperature on the Earth's surface. In this perspective, Alula's solution to the problem had been to use nuclear blasts to force the eruption of volcanoes. But the effect on Nibiru's atmosphere had been short-term. There was another scientific possibility, but it was out of reach for them. Nigerian scientists knew that they could spray gold particles in the upper atmosphere to create a protective veil encircling it and retaining the atmosphere captive. However, there was not enough gold on Nibiru. We have ourselves recently sprayed aluminum ions in the upper atmosphere in order to try to close the breaches in the ozone layer and protect us and our atmosphere from the deadly solar winds and radiation. We have been using the same logic. The metallic particles beyond filling the gaps are supposed to reflect the solar rays outward and thus diminishing the warming of Earth. I told you to look into this guy, but you didn't. When defeated, Alulu escapes to Earth with his spacecraft and his pilot, who was also an engineer, coming from far outside Neptune. At one point, he has to open his way through the asteroid belt, in parentheses called in the tablets the hammered bracelet. And we have an old story in the Anahiawiya community, or tribal ways, of the comet of the long tail, what they call the Milky Way is no Milky Way, but a crack, a fissure. So we know that he had landed on Earth carrying nuclear fuel and nukes in his spacecraft. When on Earth, he quickly discovers gold near his landing site in the water of the marshes bordering the Persian Gulf. He immediately gets into communication with Anu, trying to trade this information against his safe return to Nibiru. And at that point, Anu sends to Earth the chief scientist of Nibiru, Inky, to check on Alulu's claim of finding gold. Inky spots Alulu's vessel and lands next to it at the tip of the Gulf. He himself had used another type of energy derived from water, hydrogen, both to fuel his spacecraft and to open his way through the asteroid belt. Would that be membrane or portal? But he then learns that Alulu, using nuclear power, he shrewdly sets his camp around Alulu's vessel, detects the gold in the water, and gets on exploring Earth with his own pilot. Soon, in the dark of the night, he retrieves 7 awesome weapons. In parentheses, the nukes. There's another word for it, but anyway. From Alulu's spacecraft with the help of his pilot, then the tablets describe how they both travel to a faraway land and hide the nuclear weapons so that they couldn't be used again. But they don't tell us the reason for doing so. Let's remember that Inky is a leading scientist in all physical, astronomical, mathematical, and engineering domains. While both his father, Anu, and the deposed king Alulu are totally ignorant of science, in parentheses it states, see Kramer and Mayer, Myths of Inky, which is another book. Particularly, because my tongue twists, Inky has done such a pioneering discovery on water and hydrogen that on Nibiru he is called E, Lord of Water, EA, y'all, E. It seems nukes had become abhorrent on Nibiru, and that to stir volcanoes using them, even as a last resort, was criticized by some Nigerians, and particularly by Anu's clan. But Inky could also have been acting politically on his father's behalf. aiming at weakening Alalu by spiriting away his powerful weapons. The sad detail is that Inky, in order to retrieve and hide the nukes, needed his pilot, who much later will reveal both the existence and the location of these nukes, thus allowing them to be used to smite and scorch part of modern Palestine and Israel. In parentheses, the biblical annihilation of Sodom and Gomorrah. And we also Nineveh and 2 other cities that I won't mention right now. After Inky settled on Earth right at his landing place in what will become the first city on Earth, Eridu, the fight between the 2 royal dynasties is transferred to the Earth, just as Alalu had done for him. Anu had accepted as a token for peace Alalu's young grandson Kumardi as a cupbearer, and in due course he will be challenged when 3 orbits, or shares, of Nibiru later. He visits Earth in the gold extraction town Eridu, created by Inky. He dares not leave behind on Nibiru either his legal heir, Enlil, or Kumbari, just for fear that they would grab the power in his absence. But he doesn't dare either to bring Kumbari, all the way down to Earth, and leaves him behind at Earth's orbit space station, manned by the Igigi. Igigi, sounds Japanese, doesn't it? One of the clans. Those who see, observe, and orbit. And indeed, moon. And indeed, much later, a fierce war will happen between Kumarbi, in parentheses, backed by the Igigi, and the elites. We have to ponder this very bizarre fact that Anu sent his 2 competing heirs to Earth. The firstborn from a concubine, Inky, and the first one engineered later by his wife and half-sister, Enlil, the legal heir, in parentheses. And furthermore, he discouraged them to ever visit Nibiru again. It could be read as a wicked and cruel strategy to keep his seat of power on Nibiru unchallenged. The 2 contenders will now be pitted against each other for the domination of Earth, and then the struggle will be carried on by their sons and daughters. Basically, the colonization of Earth starts in 2 different locations, Sumer and Africa. With the continuous clash of the 2 opposing clans, Enlil, king of command, will build his own temple abode and town, Nippur, in what will become the land of Sumer, whereas the domain of Inky, lord of Earth, and chief scientist will be Africa, the Abzu. But in South Africa, gold mines, in Zimbabwe, genetic facilities, and in Egypt. The fight of the 2 clans will lead to 2 pyramid wars and continuous conflicts. This is hundreds of thousands of years ago, people. Y'all must first know that. This is not recent. This is hundreds of thousands of years ago. To get back to the Niberian civilization, much is left unsaid. In parentheses, at least in the tablets we have unearthed so far, and about the rising of the civilization and its organization. For example, it is clear that nuclear power wasn't invented solely to blast volcanoes. The names attached to it, such as awesome weapons, weapons of terror, and the like, let us infer that Niberians had had some nasty experiences with them a long time beforehand. In fact, so long before that, they had forgotten. It seems all about radioactive clouds that the younger generation didn't know is one thing, but Anu himself later gave his consent to the blowing up of their spacecraft in the Sinai and 5 towns of the plain, while very naively asking that the population be spared. Sounds like somebody familiar? When the topmost Anunnaki are gathered in the assembly to discuss and decide on whether to use the nukes, at no point does anyone, even Enlil's war commander and weapon specialist Nenorta, the son of the Begot from Nimna, raise the question of the pattern of winds and of the specific climate conditions at the envisioned moment of attack. Furthermore, if they wanted to erase only the spaceport and the rocket ships it housed, in parentheses, the spacecraft used for interplanetary travel back and forth between Earth and Nibiru, why did the assembly allow all 7 nukes to be used when only one proved sufficient to destroy it? Inky did opposed the decision, but unwisely he assumed they wouldn't know where to find the nukes. So what can we surmise about this Niberian civilization on its own home planet? On the scientific side, an extremely sophisticated technological society. In bullet points, they say they had nuclear energy at least 500,000 years before us, instant communication at a distance, even with Nibiru at its most distant point, interplanetary travel to the outer fringe of our solar system, which takes years and days, not decades, maybe with the use of some instant jumps through wormholes. This ignoramus is alluding to the fact that we're not on a flat plane, and Anunnaki and Nibiru is not right next to us, which it is. An orbiting station and a space station on Mars powered by 300, because we know that Mars was dead and all their machinery is there, except for the new human race and all the other little individuals who are warring. The Anunnaki call the Igigi those who see the orbit, scanning and registering the enemy's actions at a distance, as with radars and satellite surveillance, the use of personal planes for their everyday business on Earth, and of course, everyday planes, spaceports, space control facilities, and so on. So, ports. On the social side, we see a very strong and resilient hierarchical power. The sons never rebel only against any decision of their king father, and the king's line of control can be toppled only via a direct challenge in a duel. And the last bullet point, a definite propensity to use war or other violent means to achieve one's aims. We discover a panoply of weapons, the extreme variety of which, as compared to the quasi-absence of robots for major infrastructure projects and for mining, can only show this civilization's warlike bent. And indeed, with time passing, this tendency will only become worse with the neurotically jealous Nergal, son of Enki, and with the deadly ambitious and warmonger Inanna Ishtar, granddaughter of Enlil. You just a cleaning, ain't you? You just a cleaning, Papa. Enoch. Chapter 104. I swear unto you that in heaven the angels remember you for good, before the glory of the Great One, and your names are written before the glory of the Great One. Be hopeful for aforetime ye were put to shame through ill and affliction, but now ye shall shine as the lights of heaven. Ye shall shine and ye shall be seen, and the portals of heaven shall be open to you. And in your cry for judgment, and it shall appear. Remember, portals are nothing but rings, different places. I forget the mileage. Portals, besides portholes, portals are different places. Like if we were in Antarctic, you know what portal would we be at? Longitude, latitude. Do you know if we were behind the ice wall and see all the things that are there, and they're coming up all the time, we would be at another portal. Portals. It's like the moon. When it travels, we think it's like this. No, it's going through different portals. And there are times when there are great shadows and clouds that you can't see it. So therefore, it's a cycle of events. Be hopeful for aforetime, ye were put to the shame through ill and affliction. But now ye shall shine as the lights of heaven, and ye shall shine, and ye shall be seen as the portals of heaven shall be open to you. And in your city cry for judgment, and it shall appear to you. For all your tribulations shall be visited on the rulers, and on all who help those who plundered you. Now, this is a story that is based on something that things have to happen. And they have to. It matters not what those who have forgotten or walked away from because of technological gains and war-like mentalities. They have forgotten. And you can see that. They want the dark side of man to be more prominent. So whatever happens, happens. The perversion is everything. And in your cry, okay. Be hopeful and cast not away your hopes, for ye shall have great joy in the angels of heaven. as the angels of heaven. What shall ye be obliged to do? Ye shall not have to hide on the day of the great judgment, and ye shall not be found as sinners. And the eternal judgment shall be far from you for all the generations of the world. And now fear not, ye righteous, when ye see the sinners growing strong and prospering in their ways. Be not companions with them, but keep afar from their violence. For ye shall become companions of the hosts of heaven. Do you think an enemy want to tell you that? Like, we're going to circle you with our evil, but the good wants you to be away from that. And he's not telling you to lay down. You got to remember, Methuselah, Noah, man, they was killing motherfuckers. And although you sinners say all our sins shall not be searched out and be written down, nevertheless, they shall write down all your sins every day. And now I show unto you that light and darkness, day and night. See all your sins. Be not godless in your hearts, and lie not, and alter not the words of rightness, nor change with lying the words of the Holy Great One. I like how it doesn't put God and all them words in there. Nor take account of your idols, for all your lying. Hey, you see how they made the TV show? What is it called? Idol what? Yeah, they have plenty of shows about idol worshiping. For all your lying and all your godlessness, issue not in righteousness, but in great sin. Godlessness means less than the God you are. And IMO, okay? And now I know this mystery, that sinners will alter and pervert the words of righteousness in many ways, and will speak wicked words and lie, and practice great deceits, and write books concerning their words. But when they write down truthfully all my words in their languages, and do not change or minish out aught from my words, but write them all down truthfully, all that I first testified concerning them, then I know another mystery, that books will be given to the righteous and the wise to become a cause of joy and of righteousness and much wisdom. And to them shall the books be given, and they shall believe in them and rejoice over them. And then shall all the righteous who have learnt therefrom all the past of our righteousness, and he recompenses. Now, we get into chapter 105, we read that tomorrow. Now, have y'all noticed that when I've been reading this, it doesn't say nothing about worship? I just want to bring that to you. They're telling you, like when we're reading Flatlanders, we're getting into the Kundalini and chakras and the Christ factor, that's in here, and all the different heads of the flag of Tartaria, with the eagles, the freedom, how it's been perverted. You see what I'm saying? Nowhere in there it says anything about worshiping shit. But those giants, oh man, worship us, do as we say. Because they want to find out, they want to build upon that which was creation itself, to destroy or take its power. If you get where I'm coming from. In my own opinion, I am on. The Book of Giants, the Watchers, Nephilim, and the Book of Enoch. Yeah, this is what I want to get to, yes. Chapter 2. Excuse me, this is by Joseph Lumpkin, the Book of Giants. 1. I observe, this is a directive. Observe everything that takes place in the sky, how the lights do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in heaven, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, proper time, and do not transgress, defy, is all transgress means, defy or deny, their appointed order. But they want you to believe you're spinning through space hundreds of thousands of miles per hour, and the planets are spinning, and everybody's spinning, and the sun keeps everybody close to it, and you're zipping through space, and we're not hitting no other planets or universes. Consider the earth, and understand the things which takes place on it from start to finish. how steadfast they are, how none of the things on the earth change, but all the works of the Creator appear to you. That means as you see them. A tree is tree, no matter what type of tree it is, or a sapling, because you know they chop down the giant ones. The water is the water, other than the fact that they poison them, which you should not fret. The lands have changed because of interruption. From the start to the finish, pay attention, watch, and you will see things. 3, behold the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water and clouds and dew and rain lie on it. Lie on it. Not lay. Lie on it. Rain is not supposed to happen. The winters as we see them should not be taking place. But hey, who am I to say? Lie, L-I-E, lie on it. Pay attention to what you read. Chapter 3, Chapter 1. Observe and see how, in the winter, all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 to 3 years until the new comes. There's the pine trees. Chapter 4, 1. And again, observe the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth, and you seek shade and shelter because of the heat above the earth. Shelter because of the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with the growing heat, and so you cannot walk on the earth or on a rock because of its heat, its growing heat, above the earth, above us, not out there somewhere, above us. Chapter 5, 1. Observe how the trees are covered with green leaves and how they bear fruit. Understand, know, and recognize that He that lives forever made them this way for you. 2. And all His works go on before Him from year to year forever, and all the work and the tasks which they accomplish for Him do not change. So is it done. 3. Consider how the sea and the rivers in like manner accomplish their course, do not change because of His commandments. But man had to come in to destroy a people, create, to murder, to dismember. 4. But you have neither held to nor have you done the commandments of the Lord. But you have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your unclean mouths against His greatness. O you hard-hearted, you shall find no peace. 5. Therefore shall you curse your days, and the years of your life shall perish. And you know how you curse your days? By selectively and stupidity going, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, another year, you dumb man. You didn't live righteous in it at all. Just stupid. Shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied, and in an eternal course you shall find no mercy. I mean, I'm just breaking this stuff down, that's all. I mean, you can go to Deuteronomy, you can go to all that, you can find it all over the place if that's what you want to read it in the Bible or whatever, which I would not. Go ahead and read it. 6. In those days you shall make your names an eternal curse to all the righteous. Because aren't we more than our names? Well, they become a curse to us. And by you shall all who curse, and all the sinners and godless shall curse you forever. And for you, the godless, there shall be a curse. So they curse us. All these Pelicans got our names. And it's funny how when their names were something totally different, when they come here and all of a sudden now they got all our names and even taking our identities. If some of you follow your genealogy back, all of a sudden you see these people pop up on you. Who is this mother? Hey, oh yeah, peep it. And you know why it's the curse too? Because we keep accepting the curse. 7, and all the elect shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins, and mercy and peace, and forbearance and joy. There shall be salvation for them, like and a good light. And for all of you sinners, there shall be no salvation, but on you all shall abide a curse. But for the elect there shall be a light, and this is number 8, and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. And it'll be totally different from what it is, y'all. You don't have to worry about Tartaria and all this other need and all other stuff. 9, and then wisdom, and there won't be nobody underground in the great forest and in them halls and everything else. They do all the perversions. They all be gone. Cartels, all of them, with their false religions and everything. They don't live by them. Every one of them destroyed. Yeah, you'll be able to visit and see them. And they shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin in all the days of their life. These people that call themselves Jews, I feel so bad for them. Nor shall they die of the anger or wrath of God, but they shall complete the number of the days of their lives, and their lives shall be increased in peace, and their years will grow in joy and eternal gladness and peace all the days of their lives. Then you can go read it in Isaiah and all them places, you know what I'm saying? For those who want to have a direction to go read it. Just go and look in Isaiah. Run all through there. All right, chapter 6, 1. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born to them beautiful and fair daughters. We're talking about the Genesis. Genesis, you know that's the giant thing anyway. We're Genesis right now. If I believe right. Genesis 1, not 2. 2. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men. Now, I believe the word angels is used loosely. 3. And have children with them. And Simjaza, who was their leader, said to them, I fear you will not agree to do this deed. And 4. And I alone shall have to pay the penalty of this great sin. 5. And they shall answer. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual curses, so we will not abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then they all swore together and bound themselves by mutual curses. Now, we already read the Anunnaki rendition. We're just going over the biblical one. And 6, and they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Yard, in the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual curses on the act. Now, where's Egypt really? Origin of it. In the Hermon, Mount Hermon. People overlook those giant mountains in South America, and even here in North America, it's always overlooked. And when everybody look at Kilimanjaro, or they want everybody to look at all the other mountains. Even the one they call Mount Sinai is not even original or real Mount Sinai. And you can look at Jude, for those people who all want to find it. Jude, I believe. 7, and these are the names of the leaders. Samlazaz, their leader. Arakba, Ramiel, Kokobolel, Tamlel, Ramliel, Daniel, Ezekiel, Barikijel. Sound like a damn bunch of Moors, idiots. Anyway, but Simjaza is the Simlazaz. You dig what I'm saying? Oh, and I appreciate, dang it, I'm going to have to look at the thing. I think I did. I like saying I appreciate you anyway for the 20, bro. Anyway, Asiel, Amaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zachiel, Samsipiel, Saturel, Terel, Jomziel, Sadiel. These are the chiefs of tens. Chapter 7, 1. And all of them together went and took wives for themselves, and each choosing one for himself. And they began to go into them, and to defile themselves with sex with them. And we'll get on to the next. And you can look at that Genesis 5. Genesis 5. Let's go from 1 to 32. For those of you, you know, I'll read the Bible and the Quran, the Torah, all that stuff. Howdy McHousey. Exposing expositions. 1851, 1950. Damn, do I got? Oh, I got one of them right there. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna use. Okay. That's some good stuff. Anyway, all right, here we go. When ready for opening, this is, again, Exposing Expositions, 1851, 1915. This is the revised edition of 2021 from this 2019 one, right when the fake demic happened, Howdy Mikowski. When ready for opening, there were more than just massive buildings. 30 miles of new streets were created, while 70 miles of roads was resurfaced. Trees were axed or replanted. Thousands of tree stumps were removed. Countless cubic feet of soil had to be graded. Plus the hotels, restaurants, the Midway called the Pike, the Great Basin and Cascades created. Again, this is all supposed to have been magically done in just over 2 years, all by horse-drawn equipment with no machines, electric tools, and the like. In parentheses it states, excuse me, perfect. Though a few steam-powered pieces were claimed to be used, and excuse me, and when you see the photos, it is all very, very odd. When I showed a series of construction photos to my building contractor friend, he became very clear on what he was seeing. The first thing he asked was, where are all the workmen? I mean, to build this, you need 20 to 30,000 guys. Where are they? All on holiday? And where is the evidence they are even there? No accessible building materials, no tools, no food areas, no evidence. Anyone has been here for a long time. It is like this is day one and someone is walking into to take a photo. This is very, very strange. So exciting was the building was that supposedly 100,000 visitors came each Sunday to watch the process. But then you see the construction photos and there are usually no more than 2 or 3 workers in any photo. There does not seem to be much work going on. It seems not one of the photos was ever taken on one of the Sundays when all the visitors were there. That would have made an interesting photo. The crowds gawking at the massive project. You would think a newspaper would want a photo of that. But no, I cannot find one. Just photos with no workers and 1 or 2 horse carts. What is also interesting is that the Merle Halstead's 1904 book referred to the fairgrounds as the city of mighty magicians. Is he giving a Bancroft type sly reference to something? A few of the photos even appear to be an early form of Photoshop. One has an original photo of some guys constructing a wooden frame, but a piece of a statue that was used in the fair was obviously double exposed onto the original to make it look like it was there. Any photo expert can see the double exposure quite clearly. The strange black shading around the statue in the photo, it also adds to the dubious nature of the whole construction photo. I want to had the words backwards. I want to again be clear that I fully believe temporary buildings were built and put up. Quite a lot of them actually, in parentheses, especially all the specialty structures along the midways. Careful looks of many images do reveal that what the photographs present were built cheaply, and that is what makes it so hard to really understand what we are seeing with buildings. Just cannot be simple wood and plaster as history makes us try to believe. And now that they are all long gone, the buildings cannot be tested and checked. Which ones were plaster and which ones were weathered, painted over marble? Some construction photos clearly display utility poles. What are they for? Telephone, telegraph, electricity? And of course, just how old are they? There is suggestion that the old civilization had free wireless energy that used utility poles without wires to move the energy, and perhaps even a simple type of internet-like technology in parentheses into everyone's homes. Later, the same poles had wires added to them in the 1890s to hook up the new paid technology that we are familiar with today. And that's where the radiation starts, people. Because the free energy we had was from the ether. Had nothing to do with this crap. Transponders and the ground level and those bigger things need to be destroyed. That's all I got to say. Some construction photos clearly display utility poles, which we read. Like the story of other fairs, this was meant to open in 1903, but it had to be delayed 1 year to get everything built. There is no way this could be built in a couple of years. But if the main buildings only had to be refurbished and painted, then perhaps the rest of the structures and the pike might have been built. But once you get a glimpse later of just how big and complicated the pike actually was, it will be hard to believe they built even that in 2 years.
Potential spam.
Oh, goodness, these retarded. All these dudes. Spam of the retarded. Anyway, excuse me. But once you get a glimpse later of just how big and complicated the pike actually was, it would be hard to believe they built even that in 2 years. The only thing left today are the St. Louis Art Museum and the birdcage at zoo. Again, why only build just one real building and fake ones for the art rest? Why is there this idea at each of these fairs to build just one real structure? Because they didn't build shit. Now, a view from the Forest Tower. Let me show you a picture of that. You know damn well they didn't build this. We're going to read the next part tomorrow. Sometimes it sickens me when I see this stuff. And I look at these people running around. This lizard, Camilla Harris, and this old, about 3 or 4 different Bidens, these fucktards. And then these generals dressing up like dogs and showing how gay and nasty he is, and pedophiles always being caught. And it's just sickening. It's the harm, the children, and the murder, sociopaths running around in costumes, and idiots who don't know no better to take care of themselves and the ones around them. It's just sickening. Excuse me. I had to belch a couple times. Oh, my peppers are ready. I ain't showing you either. I'm going to eat them. I'm going to enjoy them. I made 2 of them. All right. Heaven Bearers, The Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood, Janine Helen. There she is in South Africa. There's little Janine. Hey, girl. She did an exceptional job. She did better writing than most of these individuals. Not knocking you guys right if you come over and see me, but she did. Chapter 18. Turn this down a little more, because you know I like to get into this one. This one got me like, put that on 9. 369. Monkey drank wine. Anyway, Daphne, I can't believe it is you. She is jumping for joy and gives Bonnie the biggest hug that she has ever received. Mother told me stories about you, but they were just stories, you know. She touches her face and gives her cheek a little squeeze. I just want to make sure you are real, she teases. How? She shakes her head in utter disbelief. How did you and Mother make it here? I thought you were dead, she replies, and crinkles her nose and frowns hard. Cassidy's voice gets soft and she grabs her by the arm. Come with me, Daphne, quickly. She drags Bonnie by the arm and hurries down the back of the hill without looking back at her once. They walk a good 15 minutes from where they were until she stops and huddles behind some rocks. Sleep starts falling and Bonnie looks up into the sky. Excuse me. The clouds are rolling in. Are we getting a storm? She says out loud, but she isn't really asking Cassidy. Rather, she is talking to herself. Much more than that, we don't have long at all. We were desperately waiting for you, and now you are finally here. She looks around her suddenly and feels uncomfortable. I'm not sure what is going on. I'm not privy to many things, but I feel like I should warn you. I just don't know what about. Just don't trust anyone, okay? She grabs Bonnie by the arm and squeezes hard. I am serious, Daphne. Okay, Cassidy. She replies sternly and lets her mind have a peek at her thoughts. She starts to smile and chuckle. Cassidy has done a lot of eavesdropping over the years. She comes across a memory of Cassiel and her mother. She is busy gathering some wood, and on her way back to the camp, she hears whispering. She puts the wood down quickly and takes a few steps closer, trying her best not to make a sound. To her surprise, it is her mother and Cassiel, and they are fighting about something. She will come, Cassiel, and she will be yours. The prophecy says so. You say this very you say this every year? He barks back at her. I am tired of waiting. If she isn't here soon, I will take another and make her my wife. I am Cassiel the Great, and I will lead my people back to their former glory. You know, the one that she felt like supposed to bend with him, her. He says proudly. Bonnie realizes just how arrogant he is and knows that destiny wasn't destiny at all. It was a mere wish. Cassiel was never meant to rule the kingdom. He has no humility, and it would prove to be worthless to a people who choose not to be ruled. The sleet starts to turn to snow, and she can feel the small snowflakes land on her head and gently brush past her face. She looks up at the sky and loses the memory she was watching. She looks for it. She needs to know what happened, but suddenly can't find it amongst all the rest. She blinks hard and snaps back to reality, to Cassidy. Has anyone mentioned anything about me? Stuff I should know about myself? But don't? She asks and realizes Cassidy has been staring at her the entire time. She shakes her head as if confused by her and the question. Like, what exactly? She asks and wipes the snow from her hair. The day of the mud flood bothers Bonnie. She remembers her mom lying on the floor, fighting for her life, and she saw Azrael coming towards her, and then the mud flood happened. What really happened that day, she wonders. Do you know what happened the day of the mud flood? She asked Cassidy casually. No, not really. I just know the usual stories, you know. Bonnie shakes her head slowly. I'm not sure. Maybe tell me quickly. She prompts her gently, and Cassidy takes the bait. Okay. She leans in and gets all excited to tell the story. Bonnie can tell that she has retold this story, or at the very least has heard it many times. She is curious what she will hear come from out of her mouth. So here we go. So father actually, fought off those wretched creatures as best he could. But there is this one creature. He is stronger than the rest and evil. They call him the Angel of Death. And he is hideous and mean. And he has this son who does this bidding and murders Tartarians for fun. You see, he took Queen Ariella as his sex slave. And after she had that bastard killer, he killed her. She pulls a disgusted face, and then her eyes get sad. He killed father too. Mother had hidden me along with some other Tartarians fleeing the conflict. She was planning on meeting up with the group later that day when she was attacked by them. She bravely fought them off, but they snatched you from her arms, and she had to let you go. She placed her hands on Bonnie's cheek and gives her a kiss on the forehead. I am sorry, Daphne. Please don't be mad with Mother. Cassidy's explanation is all over the place, so it takes a moment for Bonnie to piece it all together properly. She knows a lot more than she realizes, and it surprises her. Oh, dear sister, I always knew I'd see you again. It is written so, and I just knew it to be true. I just knew. So she looks away and pretends to be distracted by something. No, please finish. Bonnie interrupts her and senses something that she doesn't like in her story. Her happiness quickly disappears, and Bonnie realizes it was all for show, to distract her by her playing the loving sister role. You won't understand. She snaps and starts to play with a few pieces of dried wood that she found on the floor and crushes it between her fingers. Try me, Cassidy. I married a Phoenician, the bastard killer as you call him. Oh, and I know that I am the niece of the king and seem to possess powers. Tell me again what I won't understand. She's getting unhappy and irritated by all the games and lack of honesty among these people. Cassidy isn't completely shocked by what she hears, but she does lean back from her slightly, as if she is toxic and she doesn't want to risk getting too close to her. I have this memory, and I never told anyone about it. She replies quickly, and it is obvious now that she is visibly shaken by Bonnie's brutal honesty. Go on. I promise I will keep it to myself. She assures her and relaxes her expression. I have this memory of Mother and Father fighting one night, just before the mud flood happened. They were fighting about you. Father was furious and mother was crying. She looks unsure of herself, as if perhaps she should stop talking now. I'm not father's daughter. Bonnie guesses and waits for her response. Mother was saying that you, she pauses and wants to leave, but knows she can't. You weren't fathers of hers. That makes no sense. You weren't her fathers either. Even though, I'm just making it because that makes more sense. Even though she gave birth to you, she made it sound like she merely carried you in her womb. But that she didn't know who your real parents were. I know it makes no sense. Bonnie's face cringes in response to what she is saying, and she shakes her head in confusion. What? How does that make any sense? What do you think about that story? What does your gut tell you, Cassidy, when you look at me? What do you see? Do you see some weird person, or do you see your baby sister? She asks loudly and tries to control the sudden shame and anger that is pulsing through her. Cassidy crinkles her nose, shrugs her shoulders awkwardly, and starts to chew a thumbnail nervously. Bonnie knows what she is thinking, and she takes a little peek into her head. Cassidy thinks she is something else, and she is scared of her. They sit and stare at the settlement. The wind slowly picks up. It places it, and its pace, and it picks up its pace, and it causes the snow to blow in whirlwinds around them. She watches the snow fight the wind and struggle to find a spot to land on the ground, and she finds it relaxed and inspiring. Bonnie replays that memory of the fight between her parents in her head and stares blankly at the vast nothingness all around her. Where there is a will, there is a way. Even the snow manages to land despite knowing the wind is stronger. She blurts out, and Cassidy doesn't know what she should say in response to her statement. She watches Bonnie and can see she is physically present, but not mentally, and she just watches her wondering what and who she really is. Mother is shouting and crying in the vision, and she can't catch her breath. She is hysterical and worried, and her hands are shaking with panic. There is something wrong with her. Her eyes change color. She can read my memories. I can feel it. She shouts at her husband in absolute horror. You are overacting, Mira. She is a baby, and our baby. She is no different to her sister sitting in the next room. You need to stop this now. This isn't healthy for anyone. He replies, trying his very best to calm the situation. No, that baby, she is evil. I can't bear to look at her. The tears have stopped and her eyes turn cold, and all the love that was in them disappears. Father tries to touch her face, but she smacks his hand away. Don't touch me. She wipes her hand over her wet face and looks at him deeply into his eyes. Her eyes are burning with hatred, and she grabs onto his arms. We need to get rid of her. Holy shit. We need to do something before people start to notice what she is. The expression on her face is stern and serious, and can't believe she is willing to abandon her child. I will take the child. I will not let you get rid of her. Mother Nature will never forgive you if you do this. I will never forgive you for this. He snaps. His eyes are filled with tears and pain. She has made him choose between her and his daughter. He closes his eyes and realizes the decision is, in fact, an easy one. He takes her hand off of his, turns his back on her, and walks away to check on Bonnie. She is lying in her crib, and she is staring at the ceiling. Her eyes are golden in color, and it seems like she is watching something up there. She is giggling, and he looks up at the ceiling, but he can't see anything, and his heart is filled with love for her. He rubs her little cheek and vows to take care of her, no matter what. Oh, it's more. Anticipation is making your asses wait. No, sorry. It's pretty good, right? Sorry for the belch and the hiccups and the yawn. I do that even when I'm sitting up to reading by myself. I go, and I'm not tired of nothing. I'm like, why do I do that? I love reading. I think maybe that's one of my responses or whatever. You know what I mean? I really, really enjoy reading. I mean, God, dog. We'll read. Actually, we're gonna come back a little later, about 6:45, like last night, and we'll read Arthur Koestler and Behold the Gold. Arthur Koestler, all right, and then we'll read Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper, W.C. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everybody coming in. I'm going to shut this down. Shout outs, and I'm done. Rondo, APJR, Grey Wolf. I'm gonna get all the names in. Grand Elevation, Grand Rising. Yeah, man. Yeah, you know me, man. Yeah. Once in a blue moon. Damn, that's good. Confederacy will rise again. You damn right. We ain't going nowhere. Rep, what's up, baby mama? Chatta Hyatt was cracking, family. I watched your video last night. They had it up again. I was like, all right, that's what's up. Yeah, Alexander. Yeah, he's over there passed out. I gotta stop giving them so many snacks, man. Anyway, Tall Ken, for sure. The serpent was a reptilian. Lilith wasn't having nothing to do with Adam. I'm trying to tell you, the first woman to say no. Y'all need to stop saying no. Y'all need to start saying yeah some more. We need a whole lot of them little summer Shermans running around. Green tea with elderberry. All right. Sipping ginger tea. It was working good too, baby girl. Saw you in that little turnaround. I was like, look at you. All right, on fire. Mama Red, what's going on? The Chief Dark Boy Hughes, peace and blessings, brother. What's going on? Original Lone Wolf, much love. What's going on, family? I hope y'all enjoyed that reading. I really do. So we get to read books in heaven. Awesome. We are in heaven. Right now, we are in heaven. Egypt is here. You damn right it is. It's everywhere. Carl, what's going on? Grand Elevation Camp, folks. What's going on? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. They can't build that. No, of course not. They can destroy. That's what they're good for. You see what I'm saying? That's all they know how to do is destroy. You see that. That's it. You know? Anticipation is... I'm thinking about rolling me a fat one. Yeah. Well, anyway, I just took a couple sips of wine. I don't want to get drunk. I got to run back out to the post office. And I'll probably go grab me a backwood. And I'm not big on this nicotine. Which one of y'all going to send me one of them damn, that chemical-free, the tobacco, the long joint. They don't have, backwoods, 30% less nicotine. Come on now. It's only one drop. That's a lot of damn that chemical nicotine on that, man. But the backwood tastes so good. Oh, the honey one tastes so good. The honey backwood is a let me tell y'all something, man. I'm gonna have to go grab me 2 of them, man. Just 2. They got the singles. I don't want to get the pack with the 5. I keep it in the freezer, but I'm learning how to grow. I got seed. Oh man, boy, tobacco. You gotta really, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you grow it right. There ain't nothing like natural tobacco leaf, boy. That tobacco flower, and then you gotta cure it right. You know what I'm saying? You're in the right place where the sun's just right in the summertime. You know what I mean? But you really gotta watch it when it gets leathery. You don't want it to dry out, but leathery. And then you harvest it, and you got to put it on this thing and let it, with the sun, let it dry on it, and you got to check it. I forget how Pappy used to do it. But man, them tobacco leaves was the best, man. They were the best. And then there's another kind of tobacco. It's not like the tobacco we think. It's tobacco. It's cat something. Anyway, you can make tea or coffee with it. You can actually put it on a wound. I forget what it was called. We used to grow it in North Carolina, Raleigh, Black Mountain, Winston-Salem. I forget what it's called. No, what kind of tobacco was that? It's not like regular tobacco. It's a different tobacco. It's a tobacco, but it's a different name. Anyway. Yeah, that's because we were the tobacco and cotton. Man, cotton everywhere, man. Cotton wasn't going nowhere over here. That's something they just started doing out there. Well, for the last 20 years, I think, down in Phoenix, Pima Reservation over there, and they're doing it. It's commercial purposes. It ain't the same cotton either. Well, I think they're growing supposedly the same cotton, but our people is foregoing everything. With the knowledge they have now, if our people started farming, we'd be rich. There wouldn't be no fake ass Zionist Jewish bank robbing us and all this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? with the plan to take the land so we to get rid of all the medicinal stuff to make us sick, or J.D. Rockefeller's petroleum-based medicines and all other garbage, and then locking up and executing the pale-skinned doctors and people who were here with us, who knew how to do the proper healing ways. We wouldn't be doing it. We would never let these things become churches. They were healing centers. You know, these bastards have perverted everything. You see what I'm saying? They have perverted everything. And now the people who want to sit there against everybody and they don't know no better, they're in the same damn predicament, the dummies. I'm just dumb. But anyway, I can go on and go on and go on. You know me. Hey, now if you got some cotton seeds, man, grow them in the house, y'all. Grow them in the house. And get a spindle and start twirling and twining your own. Make, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with wool. The witch calls out there, the guys, I tell them, yo, I used to get a whole bunch of them trying to give them to these old ladies at the Bumblebee, and they sit there and they just making wool shirts and jackets, and the old folks at the Bumblebee home up the street, and one up down there by the Ford, down the street from the Ford company. I was saving them all up in big, like them big quilt bag things. But you gotta clean them. You gotta you don't have to bleach it. You gotta really know how to wash and clean the stuff. And then there's a resin you add, like a lot of stream water, and you have to rinse the wool like over and over, and then you gotta put it in a tumbler, the way it used to be done. Where I remember they used to do it, my great grandma, and it make it clean and clean. Sometimes it'd be a little yellow, most times it'd be grayish white. You know what I'm saying? And then they get that thing, get it going, and they start twisting it in their hand, getting that certain thing, and they put it on there, and then they start pressing their feet, and the thing would spin real slow, and then it would start click, and they just add more, and sometimes put a little spit on it. I'm serious. Mom used to be, and they making that big old spool, pumping that foot, just. And then they had the big one where they could do the hand, and then they take that, and when they get the hand, that's the one they start crocheting with. And they have it on a little thing hanging, and they just, as they crocheting, they just pull off. But the spindles is the way you all know, when they have the wooden dowel. Yeah. So that's a long time ago I got to see all that. Rapunzel. Yeah, they can be 100 years old, still grow. That's the beautiful thing. But anyway, I'm gonna shut it down, y'all. I'm gonna run out here and get me a backwoods so I can come back, kick off these damn Timberlands, put on some shorts or something, and sip me some vino and eat my damn stuffed bell peppers. We'll see y'all in a little bit. I'm gonna run out here and get this, because I don't want to be around LA folk getting off work and all this other stuff. I just don't want to be around all these jabbed up folks. I'm just saying, man. See y'all later. Oh, y'all thought I was gonna do it. You know I love y'all, my beautiful ladies, and my brothers. You already know.